Hamas is calling for the immediate release of dozens of its members and supporters who were detained overnight on Thursday. It says more than 100 people have been picked up in raids on the West Bank. A spokesman for the Palestinian Authority says that Hamas members had planned to, quote, sow chaos, but gave no specific charges. Hamas is saying the raids are politically motivated.
There was a large campaign of arrests carried out by the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank against Hamas members and supporters. They arrested more than 100 people, the majority of them academics, university students, and released prisoners. These arrests are part of the security coordination between Israel and the Palestinian Authority.
We'll cross over to Gaza and speak to Al Jazeera's Imtiaz. Tyab, who'll tell us more on the Hamas reaction on these arrests. Imtiaz, and what Hamas will do next.
Yeah, Adrian, well, they're no doubt predictably very angry at the fact that so many of their supporters in the West Bank have been arrested by Palestinian security forces there. We understand that in around an hour or so, a protest will be held here in the Gaza Strip by Hamas supporters protesting these arrests of these Hamas activists in the West Bank, and they're calling for their immediate release. But one would also imagine that given the fact that there is, at this stage at least, some sort of government relationship between the two sides, a unity government, if you will, there will also be pressure from Hamas leaderships on the leadership in the West Bank to explain why these arrests were made, why now, and more importantly, to again release these Hamas activists. And
Imtiaz, we were listening to the Hamas official just before I spoke to you, who was saying that the arrests are part of the security coordination between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. At least that is the viewpoint of Hamas. But the issue of security coordination is one that remains very sensitive. So do we know whether there was coordination with the Israelis on these arrests?
At this stage, it's too early to say. We haven't heard back from the authorities in the West Bank as to whether or not the Israelis were involved in these dawn raids, which resulted in well over 100 arrests. In saying that, yes, the Palestinian security forces and indeed the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank does have security cooperation with the Israelis. This is something that has been in place for a very long time, something that the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas once very controversially described in his own words as sacred. Now again, at this stage we don't know if the Israelis were involved in the arrests. In saying that, just the other week Israel was directly involved in the arrest of around 40 Hamas activists and supporters in the West Bank, so there is a very reasonable chance that they may have been involved in these arrests too.
Okay, Imtiaz, for the time being, thank you for that update from Gaza.